that he does not have his identification card with him, and the defendant gave a fictitious name of Fisher Leroy, and the officer walked back to his patrol vehicle to double check, and the officer then observed the defendant exit the vehicle and sprint away despite giving him orders to stop.
Pull a pistol from his waistband and pistol whip him with it multiple times on his head and face area, causing multiple cuts and bruises to his head and face area. As he proceeded to fall down on the ground, he continued to strike him in the head and face area with a closed fist and then stomp on him.
Today, we're dealing with an entitled young man whose behavior has gone completely off the rails. He's only 21 years old, yet his criminal history already reads like he tried to complete an entire crime spree in record time. This kid is behaving as though real life is some kind of GTA mission, except the police aren't background characters, and the consequences are very real. Somehow, he convinced himself he could keep running wild without ever facing a judge who had finally reached the end of their patience. The sheer confidence some young offenders display is unbelievable, as if the entire world exists for their personal amusement. But today, that confidence is about to collide head-on with a very serious legal reality. Could this finally be the moment when reality hits him harder than he ever hit his victims? Let's get into it.
Sir, you were charged with evading arrest or detention. On that case, you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. You're also charged with failure to identify oneself to a peace officer while being a fugitive from justice. That kicks it up to a Class A, so you're also facing a year and or a $4,000 fine on those cases as well. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On January 31st, 2025, the officer observed the defendant's vehicle run a red signal light at the 3400 block of Live Oak Street in Harris County, Texas. The officer further observed the vehicle completely failed to stop at a red signal light. The officer made contact with the defendant, who was observed to be behind the driver's seat of the vehicle, and the defendant stated that he does not have his identification card with him, and the defendant gave a fictitious name of Fisher Leroy, with date of birth January 1st, 2006. The officer ran the name through NCIC and found a DPS picture that does not remotely resemble the defendant. The defendant was asked if he was given the correct information, and the officer walked back to his patrol vehicle to double check, and the officer then observed the defendant exit the vehicle and sprint away despite giving him orders to stop. The officer ran after the defendant and observed the defendant get into another vehicle, the passenger side. The other vehicle drove away, and the officer gave the last direction of travel over the radio, but was not able to locate the vehicle. The officer walked back to the defendant's vehicle, secured it, and conducted an inventory check, finding a debit card inside with the name Kendrick Davis. The officer ran the name through NCIC and found a hit with a date of birth of 2/10/2003 with multiple Class C warrants, and ran a driver's license check with the defendant's picture and with date of birth. The DPS picture matched the defendant, and he was able to positively ID, and that's it, Your Honor.
So I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward on both of your cases. The reason I'm bringing you out now is because there's no bond that's set on your cases, and we have to set you a bond. One of the things that I use to determine on what to set a bond is how dangerous you are, because I've never met you before. I don't know you. And all I know is that you've got a birthday in 5 days. So he's on bond for an aggravated robbery now, right?
Yes, Judge. It's my understanding, I think it was a 2B, it looks like. I don't believe bond conditions and everything were put in place until a few days ago.
So the charging instrument was filed November 13th of 2024. I think that you may well be right. In that case, it says here, a Kendrick Rashard Davis hereinafter saw the defendant heretofore on or about August 12th, 2024, did then and there unlawfully while in the course of committing a theft of property owned by yada, 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 with intent to obtain and maintain control, intentionally and knowingly cause bodily injury to the complaining witness by using and exhibiting a deadly weapon, namely a firearm. Complainant McSweeney advised that defendant Davis proceeded to pull a pistol from his waistband and pistol whip him with it multiple times on his head and face area, causing multiple cuts and bruises to his head and face area. As he proceeded to fall down on the ground, he continued to strike him in the head and face area with a closed fist and then stomp on his face with his foot. Complainant McSweeney stated that he was in fear for his life and felt severe head pain as a result of the assault. I see that he has also picked up an evading arrest in a motor vehicle the day after our two cases. I guess that's how they caught up to him, right?
They must have him, and they found him, and that's when they arrested him on that, and then got picked up on leave, I believe.
Okay, so what happened in that case? Is he like driving 100 miles an hour? Is he?
Yes, Judge. It says that the officer observed the defendant conduct an improper turn and failed to turn into the correct designated lane. They activated their lights and sirens, and the defendant evaded at speeds of 90 to 115 miles per hour for 3.5 miles on the highways and multiple residential and business streets.
This defendant has become a serious threat to the people around him, and the fact that he's still walking around freely is genuinely disturbing. He shouldn't be out on the streets. He shouldn't be behind the wheel of a vehicle, and he certainly shouldn't be putting ordinary people who are simply trying to live their lives at risk. We're talking about aggravated assault, striking someone in the head with a pistol, stomping them, and continuing to kick them as they desperately pleaded for help. That's not the behavior of a teenager who's simply misunderstood. That's the behavior of someone who appears to believe consequences don't apply to him. He allegedly put someone through an experience where they genuinely feared for their life, yet he was still released on bond. That's hard to comprehend. And what did he do after being given that freedom? He allegedly went straight back to stealing vehicles, fleeing from law enforcement, and behaving as though his entire existence were some kind of high-speed action film. When judges discuss the need to protect the public, defendants like this are exactly the reason why. His actions show little concern for anyone beyond himself, no visible remorse, no responsibility, and seemingly no accountability. The justice system gives him a small opportunity, and he takes off running with it like he's racing through a police chase on stolen wheels. This isn't an isolated bad decision. It's a repeated pattern of behavior, and patterns like this can eventually lead to one of two outcomes: prison or the morgue. Perhaps the most unbelievable part is the expression on his face. He stands there looking almost irritated, as though the judge is the one creating an inconvenience for him. That apparent lack of empathy is a major warning sign in the criminal justice system. Judges recognize that expression, and they understand that simply being scolded in court isn't necessarily going to inspire someone like this to change. At this rate, the courtroom might as well have a revolving door with his name on it.
I think that you are an extreme danger to our public, and I'm going to do everything in my power to protect our public. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it with me today, promising me you're not going to drive. I don't give a rat's behind what is going on in your life. I don't care if there's a burning building. You have to say 50 kittens. If I find that you drive, I can have a contempt hearing. You can be facing an additional 6 months jail and a $500 fine every time you get into a car and drive. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I'm also putting in this affidavit that you're not supposed to be in possession of any weapons as well. If I find that you have a weapon, because I don't know if you're going to get out or not, and because these cases, because of the nature of the aggravated robbery, because of the nature of this one, I'm making his bonds high. I'm going to set them at 20,000 each.
So can I make an argument?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
you,
I
Judge.
don't want to get ahead of myself, please. Yes.
So I was appointed to Mr. Davis this morning. I was able to talk to him a little bit in the holdover. We are requesting PR bonds for both of the cases. He's 22 years old. 21 years old. He's lived in Houston his whole life. He has a lot of family in Houston, his grandparents, mom, daughter, and siblings. Prior to being in custody, he was working at Builders First Source for around a month. Mr. Davis also lives with his grandfather who has cancer. Mr. Davis is his caretaker, is my understanding. Mr. Davis has no savings and was found to be indigent by the court, so we are requesting a PR bond.
I think that he is an absolute, just a complete danger to our public. I can't possibly give him a PR bond due to the nature of both of the charges that you are facing now. I think that you're a flight risk. You've done everything in your power to evade capture. You've produced false names. So I find by clear and convincing evidence that you're an extreme flight risk. You're a danger to our community. And I'm going to set your bonds each at $20,000. I don't know if you're going to be able to post bonds, but and I'm going to order you to obtain a GPS monitor on your ankle. Like I said, you will be signing an affidavit with me today, promising me you're not to be in possession of any weapons and not to drive any vehicle whatsoever for any reason. If you do, I can have a contempt hearing. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So I guess the felonies are set for April 7th. I don't like to set them out too far just in case. If you want to, we can do up to 30 days. It's up to you.
That's perfect.
And then we'll come back. I don't know. We'll see what circumstances have changed, and then we'll go from there and just keep us in the loop.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I need you to sign this for me. I need him to sign bond finish with Felicia, and then after that, it's pretty done. Okay.
Do we excuse?
Yes, ma'am. And thank you for everything.
How is this guy just 21 years old and already responsible for this level of chaos? Most people at 21 are working toward a career, finishing their education, or trying to figure out how to create a better future. They're not racing through felony charges. as if collecting criminal records were some kind of competition. Is he genuinely beyond saving, or is there still a possibility that one day he'll finally wake up and understand where this lifestyle is taking him? Because there is no chance he's walking away with two separate $20,000 bonds. The judge made that clear. And honestly, perhaps he needs to spend some time behind bars and seriously consider why everyone around him is moving ahead with their lives while he continues returning to court and getting arrested as though it's part of his routine. The path he's chosen isn't leading toward anything positive. It ends with concrete walls, locked steel doors, and a number replacing the identity he once had. What drives young offenders to behave with such reckless disregard? There's no apparent fear, little sign of remorse, and plenty of destruction left behind. Eventually, society has to ask how many opportunities can be offered while innocent people continue paying the price. So what do you think? Could this be the moment that finally changes his direction? Or will we be watching this same defendant appear in another courtroom video just a few months from now? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.